Great article in the New York Times about ESPN that really shows you the dynamics of politics in America. ESPN started out as this little homegrown company in Connecticut, and now, of course, they're this behemoth with nearly 100 million households that pay $5.54 a month, regardless of whether they watch it or not. The network even takes in more than $6 billion a year in subscriber fees alone. I mean, that's a lot of money. But even though they're incredibly profitable, this story just broke today. ESPN has received about $260 million in state tax breaks and credits over the past 12 years. That includes $84.7 million in development tax credits because of film and digital media program, as well as savings of about $15 million a year since the network successfully lobbied the state for a tax code change in the year 2000. And this new project that they're doing, they're moving their headquarters within Connecticut, and they're getting almost $25 million for nothing from the taxpayers. They're just forking it over to them. In fact, the governor, who's a Democrat, is actually happy about it. He was talking about it openly. So then the question comes about, how have they gotten $250 million in tax incentives from just the state? I haven't even mentioned the federal government. This is just the state government of Connecticut. Quote, ESPN employs one of the top lobbying firms in Connecticut and has spent $1.2 million on lobbying expenses since 2007, records show. So it's an investment that they do. It's actually kind of smart from a business perspective. They hire this great lobbying firm that has connections in the state government in Connecticut, and they also hire people that have connections in Washington and the federal government, and just spend $1.2 million. And what do you get back in return? $250 million, over $250 million in return. One of the best investments you can make if you're a big company is a politician, because the politicians are all totally for sale. They are willing to do your bidding if you give them a little bit of money, whether it's giving money to their super PAC, which then gives them more money to run in their next race. And by the way, 95% of the time, the person that raises the most money wins. So they'll sell out to anybody. Which is why, by the way, people always wonder, well, why does everybody hate Congress so much? Because they're just simply not representing you. They put on this kabuki theater and they're pretending to represent you and they're pretending to have a battle of ideas. They don't give a damn about ideas. What they care about is what their donors tell them to do. In this case of ESPN, it's so black and white that it's screaming from the page that, look, they lobbied the government and now the government's like, here, take $25 million for whatever reason. We don't know. Here, relocate. We don't care. Just take the taxpayer dollars. You bought us, so now we're returning the favor. If you were ever, not sure of how politics worked in America or even at the state level, as this shows you, and it's weird because the state level is usually less corrupt than the federal government. But this story is like, no, they're pretty much the same. So if you ever wondered, why does Congress have a 9% approval rating? Why does nobody like any politicians of any party? Why does everybody say they're all liars all the time? Because the incentive structure in politics in America is do what your donors want. We've legalized bribery in the country, and any corporation, any rich jackass could give any amount of money to a politician and they will do their bidding. It's a sick game. It's a sick joke being played on us, and we need to reverse it immediately, or else we're just not a democracy.